Barklow. I'm a horticulturist for the city of Greenwood, South Carolina. And we're here over in the rain garden. It's called the Oak Avenue Pollinator Rain Garden. And we're going to talk today about monarchs. And we are at September 21st. And we are probably at the peak of the migration season for the monarchs. And so we have so many monarchs everywhere. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about it here. And we'll start here at the rain garden. I think we're going to move over to what we call the City Hall corner. And that has some more milkweed and more caterpillars. And we might go over to the farmer's market, which also has some caterpillars, and over to the gazebo area, which we call the Veterans Plaza Pollinator Garden. So we're going to get around town today and check out all the monarchs. So let's talk a little bit about the monarch life cycle. First, you have your adult, the butterfly, and then it lays eggs, and it only lays eggs on milkweed. So we have to have milkweed, and there's different varieties of that, and we'll talk about that. Once it lays an egg, the larva hatches out of the egg and starts eating the milkweed. And they have 5 instars, we call, and that's just a fancy word for different stages of the caterpillar and different sizes. And then once the caterpillar gets to its 5th instage, it spins I always want to call it a cocoon, but it's a chrysalis. And so it turns into a chrysalis and hangs, and then the butterfly develops in that chrysalis and then comes out. So that's its life cycle. And so we're going to be talking a bit about how they migrate all the way to Mexico, but not the butterfly you'll see flying around today. It's the one laying eggs. It's probably more than likely the 4th generation of butterfly that's going to hatch out of these eggs here, that's going to go the thousands and thousands of miles to Mexico. Okay, here we are back down here at the milkweed, and we have an Asclepias tuberosa that I believe we will find some caterpillars on there for you to see. And it is called butterfly weed, which I don't know why they call it a weed, because it's not, but it's called butterfly weed, and it's a common native milkweed for this area. So let's go down and look. Ooh, it's got a pretty orange flower. You can see that. And the leaves are nice and green. Ooh, I think you passed over a caterpillar. Look at there. Oh, hello. Now I have no idea what size that is. Maybe it's a 4th instar. And so it's getting ready. It's a pretty big guy. He's munching away there. Let's see what else. Oh, I want to show you this milkweed. It's called a seed bug. And he actually eats the seeds of the milkweed. And what's interesting about anything that gets on the milkweed, they're black and orange. The butterfly is black and orange. The seed bug is black and orange. There's a milkweed beetle that's black and orange. Look at this. Look at here. Oh my, oh my. Oh, he's a big baby. Hello, sweetheart. And you can see he's just having a good time. It's a rainy day today, but he's out here doing his thing. So that's some good stuff there for the milkweed. And I think the reason the milkweed does well in a rain garden is it's got a long taproot. That's why you can't really transplant them very easily. But this garden gets flooding when it rains real hard, and then it also dries out when it doesn't rain for a while. So I think that taproot really helps it. So milkweed in general does very well in a rain garden. All right, here we are. We're over here at the corner of Monument and Oak Avenue, and this is where the City Hall is. So we planted a garden back in this one corner here. We planted a pollinator garden. So also with it, what we did for the monarchs is we planted some common milkweed. Let me tell you, do not plant common milkweed if you have a small garden, because it spreads really bad. And so it's kind of in an area, this area here is kind of enclosed, so we can kind of keep it in check, but we have to pull a lot of it out because it's, I would really call it aggressive in its nature. But boy, do monarchs love it. So we're going to show you some of these caterpillars on the common milkweed. All right, so you can see here that oh boy, look at that big guy. I want to show you something here on this leaf. Milkweed has a really thick sap, and so what this caterpillar does is he comes up to the petiole here and he snips it just a little bit. And if he didn't do that, when he would bite into that leaf, that sap would be like getting from a fire hydrant. And if he snips that, it's more like drinking out of your hose. So that's why they always snip the petiole, to prevent that sap from being too strong for them. If you look below him, you'll see he's pooping. This we call frass. F-R-A-S-S. Oh, and we moved that a little bit, and he said, hey, what are you doing? He's moving away a little bit. So this is what you would call poop, is frass. And it's a good way to find the caterpillars too, because you look there and then you look above and then you can see, there he is. You know, I was walking over to another area of milkweed and we spotted this caterpillar on an aster. Now, what's he doing on aster? They don't eat asters. Well, this is a 5th instar, so it's getting ready to turn into a chrysalis, and it will probably hang itself on this plant. And that's a good point to cover right now, because when you're working in a monarch habitat, you want to be very careful around shrubs that are nearby, because there could be a chrysalis in there. There happens to be a little katydid right over here, which is interesting. If you look around, you see a lot of little things. It's kind of hard to see this guy, but if you look close, there's a katydid. And you know, they're very cool little critters, but you see he's on the milkweed. And you see I noticed there was a little frass here, which means that there's been a caterpillar. It's very possible that the katydid ate the caterpillar. And unfortunately, monarchs, even though the toxin in the milkweed makes them toxic, there's certain little animals that can eat them, like the katydid. Here we have a ladybug, and she's very happy here because there is a lot of aphids. Here, let's go over here and you can see a better bunch of them here. And these are called oleander aphids, and they're orange. Kind of a yellowish, well, actually I guess you would call them gold color. We don't worry too much about them, and there's a lot of predators like ladybugs that eat them. And then we also have a monarch caterpillar over here on this particular one, and he's eating. If you can tell, he's munching away there. So this is on a tuberosa milkweed that's also near here at City Hall. So Kathy here is one of our citizen scientists, and she's actually getting right down there on that larva with her hand lens, and she's got a little book in front of her to help her identify whether it's 1st instar or 2nd instar or 3rd instar. So she's going to check that out. We have that was the 4th. She's got a 4th one there. And she compares the pictures and studies it very closely. We report these to the Monarch Larva Monitoring Program at the University of Minnesota. And that's why we try to be very accurate. We got a 3rd instar. She says she's, oh, yep. So she has the 3rd instar, where it explains its body length and width and its front tentacles and its back tentacles and head capsules. So it's pretty cool. Thank you, Kathy. Time in this stage, 1 to 3 days. Hi, here we are now at the Uptown Farmers Market. We have an edible landscape in the back, so we're going to search that area because guess what? We have milkweed here also. So we're gonna take a look and see what we find today. Here's another predator here, this little wasp. He will also eat eggs and small caterpillars. I think the study is that 1 out of every 100 eggs lives. So we're glad that monarchs lay a lot of eggs. This is actually in one of the islands in the parking lot. We went kind of crazy the last couple of years just planting plants everywhere. And we planted some swamp milkweed. Now we haven't talked about swamp. Let's see, what have we talked about so far? The tuberosa, the common. Did you hear Kathy in the background? She's helping me. I need a lot of help. All right, tuberosa, common. We had the balloon milkweed we were just looking at, and this is the swamp milkweed. And let's see if we can find a caterpillar here, Kathy. And let's see. Oh, okay. Look at that down there. So that is, I think we decided that might be a 5th, or it could be a 4th. I'm sure Kathy will chirp in if it's anything else. She might as well join. And so there's that one. Let's see what else. So the swamp milkweed isn't the prettiest milkweed, but it gets a tall one, and you can put it to the back of the border. Oh, wow. Okay, this one's, he's eating. I love to watch him eat. They eat so fast. And so he's chowing away. It looks like he ate all the leaves up at the top. And so he's chowing away. So this is a good milkweed to have in the back of your border. The thing about, what I like about milkweeds is that there's several different varieties that grow really well here. And if you have a large enough place, it would be wonderful if you can plant as many varieties as you can and not just to have one. One of the things we like about the balloon milkweed right now is it's blooming in the fall when they're migrating through, and they can actually get nectar from the flowers. And one of the things our citizen scientists noticed was that the more nectar plants you have around a milkweed, the better it is. And we don't know, that's just our observation. We have no scientific evidence that says true, but it makes sense that the adult is going to need nectar as which gives her energy. It's like a sugar, it gives her energy so she can go around and lay eggs. So the more nectar plants you have, the better it's going to be. You know, this video is going to end up being longer than we expected, and it's going to be about more than monarchs, because here's another one of the black swallowtails, and I just have to show you how weak his wings are. See, when they first come out of their cocoon, their wings need to pump up with air, and this guy is just so, his wings are so flimsy. They're just kind of swaying in the breeze because they have no strength to them yet. So he won't be able to fly for probably a day or two, so we'll be sure he stays nice and protected. There's an adult here. They're usually pretty skittish. Let's see if it's a female or not. You can tell the difference between a female. Looks like she's trying to get some nectar. I don't see if you can see the back of them. Yeah, that's a female. The males have 2 black dots on their backs. That's how you can tell the difference. We couldn't help but notice this ladybug larva. No, it's going all the way down here. I don't know if you can see it, if we can see it there. Yeah, there it is. A ladybug larva. And so we see that is, kind of looks like a little alligator, doesn't it? But that's a ladybug larva, and oh my goodness! Oh, well, I just noticed, here's another predator of, I don't know if you can see him or not. Yeah, I think you can. The spider. That's a orb spider. What do they call them? Like a weaver. Orb weaver. That's right. Orb weaver. Writing spider, sometimes they call him. That's its back side. Let me see if I can go around to the front. You see where he is? Ooh, look at that pretty baby. He is beautiful. Now that, unfortunately, is a predator of a lot of different pollinators. But everybody's got to eat, right? And I think we saw, oh, up here, we see a milkweed leaf beetle. If you can see if I can get a picture of him in here. There you go, a milkweed leaf beetle. And they actually eat milkweed. So if you have a few of them, it's not a big deal. And if you have a lot of milkweeds, this particular milkweed is the balloon milkweed. We haven't talked about that one today. And it's got some pretty pinkish white flowers. It gets the oleander aphids, and that's why we saw that ladybug larva that's eating those. So we have that, and we have that beetle on there too. So we've got a lot of life on this one here. Hi, we're gonna cut into one of these milkweeds so I can describe what I was calling sap, which is actually latex in the plant. And let me show you here. I'm gonna clip this leaf so you can see how the latex comes out. Looks a little bit like milk, doesn't it? And so what happens is that if they get too much of that, it can gum up their mandibles and make it really hard for them. And also, if they get too much of this latex at once, it could be toxic to them. And you'll sometimes notice some of the little caterpillars are just scraping the surface. And then the larger ones, they'll go and just kind of nip a little bit on the petiole, just so it slows that. See how it came out there? It just kind of slows it up so they don't gum up their mandibles. Over by the splash pad at the Uptown Farmers Market, we do have a little pollinator garden map that's easy to find our pollinator gardens on. So if you're ever touring around town, you can take a picture of this and take it with you and find all the pollinator gardens. Well, here we are. We're over in the pollinator garden at the Veterans Center now, and this is going to be our last stop in our hunt for the monarchs. And so I want to talk a little bit before we look at anything else about the chrysalis of the monarch that it attaches. And I want to kind of show you this one here that we found. And it's actually on a leaf that's on a stem, and they just attached right there. This one has already exited and is flying around somewhere. So they can attach to anything. A friend of mine has a little piece, just a little square of lattice woodworking, and I think she has about three or four chrysalis on that one. And so the extension agent here, Stephanie Turner, actually sent me a photo of one on her watering can. So she has to go get another watering can to use in her garden now until the other one comes up. So we're gonna just keep kind of going around and talking about how important the chrysalis is and being very careful. Like you say, we had it right here. So we want to be really careful when we're in the garden. We don't knock it over, because they'll do them in shrubs, they'll do them on fences, they'll do them on watering cans, they'll do them anywhere. And so we really want to be very careful in the garden at this time of the year. This is Amy, and she is one of our citizen scientists that monitors monarchs. And look at that little guy! Oh my gosh! So do you think that's a first instar?
Second instar.
It's a second. See,
yes.
That looks too small to be second.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you said you had an egg too, or was that on another one?
It's on another
That'd be
leaf,
harder to
yes.
find. Well, we sure appreciate you doing all this, Amy, and
Yes.
keeping our monarchs. Oh, it's
Of
wonderful.
course.
All right. I'm over here with Rusty Wilson. He heads off our monarch monitoring, and he's measuring. Oh, I see. Okay. All right, so he measures them, and that helps him identify which instar it is. Well, as you can see, they have to get right down into the plants to measure and find these wonderful little caterpillars. So we're really grateful for Rusty. I'm going to sneak in here. You can kind of see why they call this balloon milkweed. Those big balloons, those are the seed pods. And these are the flowers of the balloon milkweed. So I'm going to go on over here. We've got some nice flowers for nectar for the butterfly. It's a helenium. And we still have a little bit of Russian sage that's blooming from summer. Oh, and look what I found here. I found a little monarch monitor over here. This is Jennifer Goldman. And she is looking. She's, did you get something? Oh, look at her. She's showing off. Let's see. Oh, yeah, she's got a little one. What do you think that size that is?
Oh, maybe a second.
She's guessing, but she's going to measure it and compare it to her thing. But she's guessing it's a second instar.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Okay, we're finishing up the video today on monarchs and black swallowtails and all their little neighbor friends that we showed you today. And the fall migration is coming to a close, and so will this video. Thanks for joining us.